Have we ever stopped to consider the invisible burdens we carry from our ancestors? This is not a question of physical inheritance, but rather a deeper, more complex legacy, that of intergenerational trauma. It's a concept that delves into how our forebears' experiences might still echo within us, shaping our emotions, our responses, and perhaps even our very identities. Intergenerational trauma, in essence, refers to the transference of trauma from one generation to another. This isn't a simple hand-me-down. It's a profound and multifaceted process that can affect individuals, families, and entire communities in ways that are often difficult to comprehend. It's like an invisible thread weaving through the fabric of families, binding generations together in a shared narrative of pain and resilience. Let's explore one of the key aspects of this process: direct trauma exposure. Imagine a cataclysmic event, a war perhaps, or a natural disaster. The survivors of these events bear psychological scars, wounds that don't always heal with time. They carry these experiences with them, the memories etched deep within their psyche. These traumatic events have a way of shaping individuals, molding their perceptions of the world around them, altering the way they interact with others, and perhaps even influencing the way they raise their children. The echoes of these experiences reverberate through the generations, subtly influencing behaviors, attitudes, and responses. Just as a stone thrown into a pond creates ripples that spread outward, touching every part of the water's surface, so too does trauma propagate through generations. It's not just the person who experiences the trauma directly that is affected. The impact can be felt by their children, their grandchildren, and even generations yet unborn. It's important to recognize that this isn't about blame or guilt. It's about understanding, about acknowledging these invisible burdens and recognizing their influence. For it's only when we understand these echoes from the past that we can begin to address them, to heal, and to move forward. The trauma from the past can echo in the present, affecting individuals and families in ways they may not even realize. As we delve deeper into this topic, let's keep this thought in mind, for it is the key to understanding the profound and pervasive influence of intergenerational trauma. When grief lingers, it can cast a long shadow over future generations. Unresolved grief and loss are like heavy chains, passed down from one generation to the next. When a loss is not properly mourned or addressed, it can result in a deep-seated sorrow that permeates the fabric of a family. This sorrow can manifest in various ways, often as a sense of melancholy or a profound longing for something lost. Beyond the emotional toll, unresolved grief can disrupt the formation of secure attachments between caregivers and children. This disruption can have far-reaching effects, impacting emotional regulation and interpersonal relationships. Imagine a child struggling to form a secure bond with their caregiver, their emotional development hindered by the specter of past grief. The effects of disrupted attachment can ripple out, influencing how individuals navigate their relationships in adulthood. The way we relate to others can be a mirror reflecting past sorrows and unhealed wounds. Our minds, like history books, can carry stories of pain and dislocation. This statement rings especially true when we delve into the realm of inherited psychological patterns and cultural disconnection and loss. Intergenerational trauma can leave an indelible mark on the psyche. It's like a shadow that follows us, subtly influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional responses. In some cases, maladaptive coping strategies and psychological symptoms such as anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder may be passed down like unwelcome heirlooms through family dynamics. This is not a conscious choice, but rather a consequence of unresolved trauma. But it's not only our minds that are impacted. Our cultural identity can also bear the brunt of historical trauma. Imagine being uprooted from your cultural roots due to catastrophic historical events. This displacement can result in a profound loss of identity and belonging. It's like being a tree ripped from its nurturing soil, left to survive in unfamiliar terrain. This sense of cultural dislocation can perpetuate feelings of alienation and marginalization in subsequent generations. It's a ripple effect that extends far beyond the individual, reaching into the heart of communities. It's as if a piece of the cultural tapestry has been torn away, leaving a void that is difficult to fill. The loss of cultural connection can also lead to a loss of shared narratives, rituals, and traditions that provide a sense of anchorage and continuity. This can further exacerbate feelings of dislocation and disorientation. Yet it's important to remember that these effects are not set in stone. Individuals and communities are not passive recipients of intergenerational trauma. They are active agents in their own healing and transformation. With awareness, understanding, and support, it's possible to rewrite the narrative, to mend the torn tapestry, and to reclaim one's cultural heritage. In the face of adversity, there's always the potential for resilience and growth. And it's this resilience that serves as a beacon of hope, illuminating the path towards healing and wholeness. When we lose touch with our roots, we may also lose parts of ourselves. But by acknowledging and addressing intergenerational trauma, we can begin the journey of rediscovery, reconnecting with our roots and reclaiming the parts of ourselves that were lost. The scars of trauma are not only psychological, but also social and economic. It's a ripple effect that extends beyond the individual, affecting the very fabric of our communities. The impact of trauma can be seen in the socioeconomic disparities that often plague families and communities who have experienced severe distress. When trauma strikes, it can interrupt education, employment, and other avenues of social and economic advancement. This disruption often leads to cycles of poverty, which can persist for generations. Picture a family where the parents experienced trauma and were unable to continue their education. This lack of education limits their employment opportunities, leading to low income. The family struggles to provide for basic needs, let alone invest in the education of their children. The children grow up in poverty, their educational opportunities are limited, and the cycle continues. This pattern isn't just about money or education, it's about the opportunity for growth, the chance to break free from the chains of poverty and trauma. Socioeconomic disadvantage isn't destiny, but it's an uphill battle that requires resources and support, often not readily available to those in need. On the other hand, trauma also contributes to patterns of family dysfunction. Dysfunctional family dynamics create an environment where abuse, neglect, or substance misuse may prevail. These patterns can be passed down, with each generation replicating harmful behaviors they've learned from the one before. Imagine a child growing up in a household where violence or substance abuse is the norm. This child is more likely to adopt these behaviors, perpetuating a cycle of dysfunction. The child may struggle to form healthy relationships, cope with stress, or break free from the patterns of dysfunction they've known. These consequences of trauma, socioeconomic disparity, and family dysfunction are intertwined, each feeding into the other. They create a cycle that's hard to break, a cycle that can persist for generations if left unaddressed. But it's not all doom and gloom. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards breaking the cycle. Understanding the impact of trauma can motivate us to seek change, to provide support, to break the chains of intergenerational trauma. The echoes of trauma can be heard in the silence of poverty and the discord of family dysfunction. Trauma can rewrite our biology and silence our stories. It's a powerful statement, but one backed by increasing scientific evidence. Emerging research suggests that trauma can leave molecular imprints on our DNA, altering gene expression and potentially predisposing future generations to mental health issues or stress-related disorders. This biological legacy of trauma passed down through our genes may subtly shape our lives in ways we're only beginning to understand. But trauma doesn't just leave its mark on our biology, it can also silence our narratives, the shared stories that help us make sense of our experiences and the world around us. Within families, narratives about traumatic events can often be suppressed or silenced. This can prevent the acknowledgement, processing, and healing of past traumas, allowing them to continue influencing subsequent generations. Our genes and narratives, both silenced and spoken, carry the weight of past traumas. Our challenge is to understand and learn from this weight, to break the cycle and enable healing. Collective wounds can reverberate through generations. Cultural and historical trauma such as colonization, slavery, or systemic oppression can leave deep, lasting scars. These traumatic experiences aren't just personal, they're shared. They are carried forward through cultural narratives and collective memory, impacting not just one person, but entire communities, entire generations. Yet, in an attempt to protect, to shield, we may choose silence over acknowledgement. This is transgenerational avoidance. Families may avoid discussing or acknowledging traumatic events altogether, burying the pain in the hope of sparing future generations from its sting. But this avoidance can hinder emotional processing and healing. It's like a wound left untended, festering beneath the surface. When we refuse to confront the trauma, when we push it aside or bury it deep, we don't erase its existence. Instead, we may inadvertently perpetuate its pain, allowing it to seep into future generations. When we avoid confronting the past, we may inadvertently perpetuate its pain. Despite the shadows of the past, there is always room for healing and resilience. As we journey through the narrative of intergenerational trauma, it's important to remember that the human spirit is incredibly resilient. This resilience is often fostered through healing processes that span generations, creating a ripple effect of positive outcomes. One such process is therapy, a powerful tool that allows individuals to process and make sense of their inherited traumatic experiences. Therapy can help to break the cycle of trauma, allowing individuals to rewrite their family narratives in more empowering ways. Cultural practices also play a key role in healing. They reconnect individuals with their roots, providing a sense of identity and belonging that might have been lost over generations. Supportive relationships, too, are paramount. They provide a safe space for individuals to express and process their emotions, fostering resilience and emotional well-being. The cycle of trauma can be broken, and from its cracks, resilience and healing can bloom.